I'm wasting time. Welcome back to my channel, Solitary and Unsustained. I'm Sarah. So today's video is going to be pretty chill. What I'm going to be doing, if you haven't seen this on BookTube yet, I will be reading the first line of books and ranking what I think of them. My scale will be 1 to 5 stars. And then you can do with this information what you will. Yeah. That will be the video. I've just picked like a few books off of my bookshelves. I only have one bookshelf. All right. The first book, Jane Eyre. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I have a new sound setup. Hello. Yes. So hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully a little bit better than normal. But anyway, on with the video. First book is Jane Eyre. My copy is disheveled. I literally just had to tape the cover back on. If any of my family's watching this, a new cover of Jane Eyre. Great Christmas gift idea for me, because I would like to reread it at some point. Anyway, so Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Let's read the first line. There was no possibility of taking a walk that day. Maybe I should just read the whole first paragraph. Let's see. There was no possibility of taking a walk that day. We had been wandering, indeed, in the leafless shrubbery an hour in the morning, but since dinner, Mrs. Reed, when there was no company, dined early. The cold winter wind had brought with it clouds so somber and a rain so penetrating that further outdoor exercise was now out of the question. You know, I love Jane Eyre, but that first line stank. Yeah, I would give that a 1 star. That was a terrible first line. Moving on. 1 star. So far, Jane Eyre is at the bottom of the list. Our next book, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Okay. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. I don't know why I thought this was the first line had something to do with like the location of everything, you know, the whole West Egg, East Egg thing. Okay. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Also, side note, if anybody wants me to start recording audiobooks, start my career in voice acting, what do we think? Do I sound relaxing, incredible? Would you like me to narrate your next audiobook? Let me know. Anyway, this is kind of intriguing. I would give it 2.5 stars. I would say 2.5 stars. Because it's kind of, you know, it's got a mysterious quality to it. But it's pretty vague, but not totally in a mysterious way. Kind of a little bit in a boring way. So, 2.5 stars. By the way, I love both of those books. Our next one. And these are in no particular order at all. We have The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. And let's talk about this cover. I hate movie covers on books. I don't like it. Good book though, very good. The format's kind of odd in this one, I remember, because it's from the perspective of death. First chapter, Death in Chocolate. I don't know, should I be including the prologue in this? I'm gonna include it. It's kind of a weird format. All right, Death in Chocolate. First the colors, then the humans. That's usually how I see things, or at least how I try. Here is a small fact. You are going to die. That grabs you, I think. I think that's pretty interesting. Not extremely poetic sounding or anything, or just like, but it grabs you, I think. I would give that 3.5 stars, personally. I think that's pretty good. Anyway, next we have Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. Another great book. And I really love Thomas Hardy's writing style. So let's see if the first line is good, if it's intriguing, if it grabs you, if it's poetic. Okay. Phase the First, The Maiden. This is why my books get ruined. All right. Look at that. It's already falling apart. On an evening in the latter part of May, a middle-aged man was walking homeward from Shaston to the village of Marlett, in the adjoining Vale of Blakemore or Blackmore. I'm disappointed. So here we've got a very informative first line. It's not great. It's not great. It doesn't grab you. It doesn't. 2.5? Yeah, 2.5. It tells you what's happening, but it's both vague and very informative. No. Next we have Dune by Frank Herbert. I like Dune. I thought Dune was good. I read it this past October. Dune is another that has like a weird formatting. It doesn't have chapter titles. It has quotes from Manual of Muad'Dib by the Princess Irulan, I don't know. So do I include that? I guess. So I'm going to read that and then the first line. A beginning is the time for taking the most delicate care that the balances are correct. This every sister of the Bene Gesserit knows. To begin your study of the life of Muad'Dib, then take care that you first place him in his time. Born in the 57th year of the Padishah Emperor, Shaddam No. 4, take care the most special care that you locate Muad'Dib in his place, the planet Arrakis. Do not be deceived by the fact that he was born on Caladan and lived his first 15 years there. Arrakis, the planet known as Dune, is forever his place. And then we have the first line of the rest of the book. In the week before their departure to Arrakis, when all the final scurrying about had reached nearly unbearable frenzy, an old crone came to visit the mother of the boy, Paul. I'm a little torn on this one. I will say, for a first read, which I've read it, but like I would think for a first read, it's pretty jarring, right? We're using a lot of terms that have no idea what they are. You know, it's both informative and jarring. So that's kind of good, right? Like, you kind of want that. It's like, oh, what is going on? The actual first line of the chapter, it's not super memorable. It's not memorable. I'll give it a 3. A 3-star. So far, nothing has wowed me. These are some top tier books, and the first line, it's not good. Next we have The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. I was about to say by Daisy Miller. That's not it. Daisy Miller, not good. I don't like Daisy Miller. But The Turn of the Screw was pretty good. And if you've watched The Haunting of Bly Manor, parts of The Turn of the Screw inspired the plot for The Haunting of Bly Manor. Very interesting, very haunting. I would recommend. The story had held us round the fire, sufficiently breathless, but except the obvious remark that it was gruesome, as on Christmas Eve in an old house, a strange tale should essentially be, I remember no comment uttered till somebody happened to say that it was the only case he had met in which such a visitation had fallen on a child. It's pretty wordy. Not necessarily bad, but it is pretty wordy. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. It's really kind of setting the vibe. You know, we've got a spooky story on a Christmas Eve night. It's kind of nice. It's setting the vibe. It's setting the atmosphere. It says, such a visitation had fallen on a child. That's spooky. That's pretty spooky. I'm going to go with 3.5. Am I giving everything too many half stars? Probably. But I'm going with 3.5. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. What is that from? Next book. East of Eden by John Steinbeck. East of Eden is kind of tricky for me. There are parts of it that are really interesting. I think the characters are really interesting, but it's a long book, and it follows a bunch of different generations. I don't know. It just was only okay for me. Let's read the first line. The Salinas Valley is in Northern California. It is a long, narrow swale between two ranges of mountains, and the Salinas River winds and twists up the center until it falls at last into Monterey Bay. I feel like I just read the first line of a geography textbook. Goodness, these are not good! I would give that 2 stars. It's very informative, but I would give it 2 stars. It's not good. Next. The whole reason I read this book was because this next book, I really enjoyed the writing style in the very first chapter because I had like rented it on Libby to sample it, test it out. And I really liked the first chapter. So I know the writing's really good in the first chapter. I don't know if the very first line is good, but let's see. But overall, I didn't really like the book. Unfortunate, but. And that book is Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. I was 37 then, strapped in my seat as the huge 747 plunged through dense cloud cover on approach to the Hamburg airport. Cold November rains drenched the earth and lent everything the gloomy air of a Flemish landscape. The ground crew in rain gear, a flag atop a squat airport building, a BMW billboard. So, Germany again. Dang, I thought it was going to be good. It's not bad. I'm going to give it 3 stars. It's a good it's actually a very good combination of informative and like showcasing, you know, Murakami's kind of beautiful prose a little bit, you know, the dense cloud cover, the gloomy blah blah blah. So, it's not bad. It's not bad. Does it really make you want to keep reading? I don't know. But I know the rest of the chapter's good. I thought. We're on our last book. This book has been very popular on the internet. I think also on like Book Talk. I read it last year. I didn't really like it. I read it pretty quickly. It is definitely a quick read, even if it is a long book. And the characters are intriguing, but I totally understand a lot of the main criticism of it. And that's all I really have to say. That book is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I just love this cover though. This cover is really pretty. The book, I will say the characters are pretty memorable. Anyway. 1. Lispenard Street. The 11th apartment had only one closet, but it did have a sliding glass door that opened onto a small balcony, from which he could see a man sitting across the way, outdoors in only a t-shirt and shorts even though it was October, smoking. Willem held up a hand in greeting to him, but the man didn't wave back. I'm not disappointed by this. And I wasn't necessarily like super impressed by her writing style, but it's kind of a good first line. It's giving Rear Window? What is that movie called? We all know what I'm talking about, with Jimmy Stewart. I think it's Rear Window. Alfred Hitchcock. And then also kind of Under the Silver Lake with Andrew Garfield. Even though I know this isn't like a mystery, but it kind of gives that. So maybe it's a bad first line because it's giving the wrong impression. I don't know. But I'm kind of unsatisfied with these. And I thought I picked like some decent books from my bookshelves, but the first lines are not very good. Nobody got a 5-star. Maybe I'm just really picky. This was 9 books. I'm kind of disappointed. Yeah, I guess this has been the video. I hope you had fun. I mean, this wasn't a very good advertisement for any of those books because they just really were not, they really just weren't it. The first line was not it. Well, this has been the video. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, watch some other videos. Thanks for hanging out with me. Peace. Bye. Stank.